Welcome back to OpenLine. Talking about medical malpractice. Have with us medical malpractice attorney Clint Kelly and several calls. So let's go to Mona. Hello, Mona.
Yes. Hello.
Hi, go right ahead.
I wanted to know about if you could give me some information about the flu vaccine causing some permanent damage, and is there a cap on that amount in the state of Tennessee?
Did you say flu vaccine, Mona?
Yes.
Okay.
The flu vaccine, okay.
I can answer the second part, but I can't answer the first part. I'm not aware of any specific cases where people have been injured by the flu vaccine. I will say this, though. There is a federal vaccine compensation program for people who've been injured by vaccines, and that's controlled by federal law. There is a grid or a system by which they analyze and adjust what the claim is worth, and Tennessee law has nothing to do with that, so Tennessee caps wouldn't have anything to do with that. What I would suggest you do is, if you look under the federal vaccine compensation program or vaccine injury fund, there will be referrals to attorneys who handle those types of cases, and you can get some free legal advice on whether or not the flu vaccine is a potential cause of an injury and what you can do about it.
Is that common? I mean, I'm actually surprised to hear that there's a fund set up by the federal government for that.
Yeah.
So it sounds like it happens.
It does, Ben. It's a small minority of patients, but there are occasions where patients will have a bad reaction to a vaccine.
Wow.
But
okay.
Hey, I'm not sitting here saying you shouldn't vaccinate your kids, just the opposite. I think everyone should get their vaccinations, but it's extremely rare for someone to be injured by a vaccine.
All right, thank you, Mona. Let's go to Leah. Hello, Leah.
Yes.
Leah, go right ahead.
First of all, I think we need to examine the process in Tennessee about the PAE process. Second of all,
The PAE process, what is that?
the PAE, which determines whether people can stay in long-term care facilities or not. But then I also think we need to look at the families. We referenced earlier about families, and it's the hospital's responsibility to protect family members and whatnot. I don't think you realize the type of families we're dealing with in healthcare.
And you're talking about in the infection, when we're talking about infections. Well, I guess hospitals couldn't keep the families out.
They don't have a duty to
They
protect.
can't.
Yeah,
Tennessee state law says we cannot, and yes, it is our job to protect family members, but you have no idea the family members that we're dealing with.
Okay.
Well, to me, I don't believe the hospital has to protect the family members because they're not the patients. They obviously have a duty to protect the patients. What she's saying, though, in fact, there's no question what she's saying is there are some families who come into the hospital that are crazy. There are some family members who come to the hospital who are abusive. There are some family members who come to the hospital that can cause problems with the patient in the hospital, and the nurses have to deal with that, and it's a difficult job. My sister-in-law is a nurse, and I know it's very, very difficult. So they have difficult jobs, but at the same time, when there is a mistake made, a serious mistake made, those nurses and those doctors have to be held accountable, regardless of how difficult the job is, just like I have to be held accountable for the work that I provide for my clients.
And so where do you see, there have been some changes from the legislature.
Right.
But where do you see things going 10 years from now? Do you see, I guess, the legislature cracking down more or loosening up? And do you see people able to file more or less? Or kind of where do you see things going over the next 10 years?
I don't see the legislature loosening up at all. I think we're in a lull period where the legislature has other priorities. They have bigger fish to fry right now than messing with the tort system again. As I told you, I think there are going to be more and more of these types of cases because the population, particularly in the Nashville area, is increasing by leaps and bounds. And I do believe because medicine's become more assembly line manner of providing health care that you're going to see less margin for error and therefore more cases. So I think, at least for the time being, we're going to have this system in place that's going to be best able to compensate those who have severe injuries. Those who have modest or mild injuries are never going to see their day in court.
No. And what is it, we have about a few minutes left here, what do you hope people take away or understand if they're facing a question about, well, should I come forward with something or not? What do you hope people understand?
Well, the first thing is that your gut instinct is often your best indicator of whether something bad has happened to you, whether you've been a victim of a medical mistake. Sometimes you'll hear it from another healthcare provider or a family member. It costs nothing to call me and get a consultation. I charge nothing for that. In fact, I don't charge the client anything unless I recover money for them. And it never hurts to pick up the phone and call and say, look, this is what's happened to me. Do I have a case? Because I have, like I said, a nurse consultant that can give me an opinion on the records. I have some staff that can perform a function of basically getting a history, asking the right kind of questions, and then, as I said, I can have a medical expert review the case. But if you think that you have had something happen to you or a family member that you believe is a major medical mistake, just pick up the phone and call, because it's free, and at least you don't have to worry about me or perhaps another lawyer telling you, I'm sorry, you slept on your rights, you waited too long.
Right.
That's what our system is for, is to compensate those that need help.
So let's say you think that you have a claim, you agree. How long does the process take?
It depends on the type of case, meaning it depends on how many medical experts there will be, how many potential defendants there are. But I mean, to give you a range, it can be as short as 1.5 years, and it can be as long as 4 years if there's an appeal. And it can also depend on what jurisdiction you're in. Some jurisdictions, some counties, like say Wilson County, you can get things moving pretty quick, and Nashville's pretty good as well. But if you're in Memphis, you may not get a trial date for 2 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it depends on how clogged the court system is.
And I don't know how much you can say or feel comfortable saying, but are there hospitals or facilities that seem to have more issues? And what can you say, or counties, or are there areas that have more issues than others? And what can people know about that, or should they know?
Yes.
So there are. So, all right, if you were sick, what would you do? If you had to go to a hospital, what would you do?
I would have my wife come to the hospital and spend every minute with me in the hospital the entire time I'm there. Whatever needs to be done at home can be done by somebody else. The leading cause, in my opinion, of these cases is miscommunication or lack of communication. A patient advocate can be the difference between life and death, particularly if they challenge the healthcare provider to make sure that the proper care is being given. Ben, I know it's hard to believe in 2016, but we have cases of mistaken identity that occur in the hospitals. We have patients that have procedures that they didn't authorize. We have patients who are giving medications that are not proper because simply the healthcare provider got, Ruth Ann mixed up with Joyce. They want patient advocates to be there to make sure they don't make that mistake, because one thing's for sure, no healthcare provider wants to make a mistake. They're all conscientious and want to do the right thing, and one of the best ways to help them do the right thing is to be challenged and make sure that they've got the right patient, the right treatment, the right medication.
So when my mom was sick, we were there, one of her kids, and every time they came in with medication, we would type it down on the computer. And that just made everyone understand what it was, and if there was a mistake, an inadvertent mistake, hopefully when they're telling us what it is, they would see, okay, well, I'm giving them the wrong thing. And so it's, when you say challenge, it's not even an adversarial thing, it's just a conversational thing.
Oh, right. I mean, when I say challenge,
okay. I'm sorry. All right, we'll take a break.
Yeah.
Be back, wrap everything up. Be back right after this.